Who are the top free agents this offseason? Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Wednesday, October 15th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White, and we have ourselves a bit of a mini off-season preview here, Scott. So I'll run through the top free agents. You tell me, will they stay or will they go? We can talk through potential landing spots and have a little bit of fun with this. But the top dog, the big name this free agency is Kyle Tucker. Back with the Cubs, or do you see him leaving?
I see him leaving. It's kind of what everybody's presumed from the moment the Cubs traded for him, and they have outfield excess. And honestly, it'd be better for his fantasy value, I think, if he left, because Wrigley Field, we've seen it not play so well for hitters, particularly ones who like to pull the ball. And I think Kyle Tucker, looking at his home away splits last year, would benefit from leaving.
Yeah, I agree. I think he winds up somewhere else as well. Obviously, most off seasons, big name free agents get linked to the Yankees. I think depending on what happens between the Phillies and Kyle Schwarber, I think they could be in on Kyle Tucker. Your Atlanta Braves sounds like they could be spending some money this offseason. Boston Red Sox, I think, will be a little bit more aggressive. They kind of have their foundation set up. Maybe they want to add to that now. The one team I'll bring up that I think would be bad for his value, the San Francisco Giants. They're typically linked to a lot of big-name free agents, but obviously there's a big right field there. Kyle Tucker's a left-handed bat. San Francisco is one place, Scott, I would not want to see Kyle Tucker wind up.
Sure.
Next up, we have Kyle Schwarber, who is a pending free agent, and obviously coming off a career year, top 10 player in fantasy this year. Will he stay or go from the Philadelphia Phillies?
I think Kyle Schwarber will stay. I think because of his DH only status, the Phillies, Andy's, mid-30s. And I think between that and his DH only status, the Phillies won't have to break the bank for him. I think he'll have every incentive to stay. They're obviously one of the best teams in baseball. Dave Dombrowski is very win now mentality. So I'm guessing Schwarber stays.
I agree with that, too. I think Schwarber back to the Phillies. If he doesn't somehow, though, I would keep an eye out on the Red Sox, where Schwarber played before and actually enjoyed his brief time there. If the Mets somehow don't bring back Pete Alonso, I could see them getting in on Kyle Schwarber. And if the Cubs miss out on Kyle Tucker, what about a reunion? Maybe Kyle Schwarber back to the Chicago Cubs. Don't rule it out. Let's talk about Pete Alonso. Just mentioned his name. He has opted out of his final year here, or his next season with the New York Mets. Scott, do you think he winds up back in New York, potentially ending his career there? Will he stay or will he go?
I think Pete Alonso will stay. I think he proved his value to the Mets, I don't know if I'd call him the heart and soul of the team, but clearly he was a big part of the heart and soul of the team, was Pete Alonso. And Steve Cohen is one of the most aggressive spending owners right now. He seems motivated to put together a winner in New York. And I think for the amount they'll have to pay Pete Alonso, they could do a lot worse in terms of productivity. So I imagine Alonso will be back with the Mets.
I lean that way as well. I don't know that it would be a decision their president, David Stearns, would make. This kind of feels more like a Steve Cohen signing as well, much like he did with Juan Soto, where he stepped in and was just, hey, no one's going to beat me. I'm going to spend the most on Juan Soto. I could see Steve Cohen stepping up there and bringing back Pete Alonso, who's been a lifelong Met. He has the all-time franchise home run record there as well. I would expect Pete Alonso to wind up back with the New York Mets as well. Let's take a quick break, and we'll return right after this.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric.
Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
Welcome back in FBT Express. We have ourselves a mini off-season preview here, running through some of the top free agents. Will they stay or go? Next up, we have Cody Bellinger. So going across town to the Yankees, he has opted out of his deal. Scott, do you see Cody Bellinger going back to the Yankees or potentially somewhere else? This one's tough, too, because I feel like their plan A is going to be Kyle Tucker, and maybe if they miss, they'll kind of bring back Bellinger. So it's kind of a tough one.
Bellinger's such a good fit for their venue, and he brings a lot defensively. I really want him to be back with the Yankees. I think it'll make a big difference for his fantasy value. I think, I don't know if he knows how good he has it with the Yankees. I think the Yankees know how good of a fit he is for them, and I think they'll figure out a way to bring Bellinger back. And
he seemed to enjoy playing. But despite wearing a Mariners jersey, I am a Yankee fan, so watch all their games, and he thrived in that environment, and obviously his dad played for the team as well, so I think, he kind of played into some of that as well. I would bet on him being back with the Yankees, but if they sign Kyle Tucker first, I don't think that it'll be both of those guys going back to the Yankees. So if Tucker goes to the Yankees, I think Bellinger winds up somewhere else, and some potential options, the Giants, the Phillies, the Mets, maybe the D-backs go out and spend a little bit of money there with someone like Cody Bellinger. Next up, we have Bo Bichette, who had a huge bounce-back season here, unfortunately missing the playoffs to this point as he kind of works through a knee injury. Bo Bichette, will he stay or go?
I think he's going to end up going. The Blue Jays will try to bring him back, but they didn't work out a long-term deal before he left like they did with Vladimir Guerrero. And it's just really the shortstop market is going to be so competitive because it's going to be Bo Bichette. Presumably Trevor Story opts out of his deal with the Red Sox. And then after that, maybe Ha-Seong Kim if he opts out with the Braves, but that's not a guarantee. And basically nothing after that. So there are going to be a lot of teams bidding on Bo Bichette, and I think the Blue Jays are going to lose out.
I actually think he's going to wind up back with the Blue Jays, but I do think there are going to be some bidding wars for Bo Bichette this offseason. I know your Atlanta Braves would make a nice fit for Bo Bichette. How about the Tigers, right? They went really hard after Alex Bregman last offseason, and it kind of feels like you can maybe play Bichette at shortstop for another year or two, but ultimately maybe he winds up at third base or second base, something like that. So I would watch the Braves, I think the Tigers, maybe even the Giants jumping in there on a Bo Bichette this offseason. Let's get to the pitching side of things, Scott. Framber Valdez is the prized free agent pitcher this offseason. Will he stay or go from the Houston Astros?
I mean, they haven't been bringing players back, really, as their contracts have expired. That just doesn't seem to be their mentality, and I don't think they'd make an exception for Framber Valdez. Pitching market's always competitive. I think Framber Valdez will have another team, different team in 2026.
I agree with that completely, and I think a team that would make a lot of sense. We've talked about them needing pitching and kind of needing a frontline pitcher for a while now is the Baltimore Orioles, right? So, they get Kyle Bradish, they get Tyler Wells, Trevor Rogers looks pretty good. You add a Framber Valdez to the top of that. I think that's a pretty formidable rotation there for the Orioles. I think the Red Sox could maybe use an SP2 behind Garrett Crochet to go along with some of those young guys. The Mets definitely could use a frontline pitcher as well. So I can see a pretty big market here coming together for Framber Valdez. What about Dylan Cease? Will he stay or go from the San Diego Padres?
Well, sort of like it's not the Astros' MO to re-sign their expiring contracts to big long-term deals. It's not for the Padres either. They tend to decimate their farm system to bring in players whose contracts are close to expiring. So I don't think they'll be bringing back Dylan Cease. I think he'll find a bigger deal elsewhere.
I agree with that too. I think Dylan Cease will be on the move. A lot of the teams that I just mentioned, the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Mets, I could see being in on Dylan Cease. I do wonder if the Astros swing and miss on bringing back Framber Valdez. Can they bring in Dylan Cease on a cheaper deal than Framber Valdez? And if they could do that, Astros have done good work with starting pitchers in the past. I would be pretty intrigued as to whether or not maybe Houston could get in on Dylan Cease if they miss out on bringing back
I don't think
Valdez.
Anyone's getting Cease at a discount. I don't think that's happening. I don't know if that's exactly what you were suggesting, just cheaper than Framber.
Cheaper than Framber, basically, yeah. I mean, you would agree with that, right? Framber probably gets the biggest pitcher contract this offseason?
I think it'll be very similar between the two of them, just because they're so clearly the numbers 1 and 2, and every contender could use another starting pitcher.
And these are not the only free agents. I'll mention a few others here. We won't kind of go into detail, but Ranger Suarez, a free agent. We have Munetaka Murakami coming over from Japan. He is a slugging corner infielder, first, third baseman. So I think there'll be a big market for him as well. JT Realmuto, a little bit older now, but still a pretty productive player. Josh Naylor having himself a big season with Seattle and obviously into the postseason as well. Eugenio Suarez, another big name. Please do not go back to Seattle. And Zach Gallen is, maybe the third or fourth starting pitcher on the market. Big second half, finish strong. I could see a decent market coming together for Zach Gallen as well. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again later this week. Bye-bye.